Yeah, this is JR, the Texpat OTG. You know, I've been watching a lot of news lately, and it seems like the FBI is always in the news with some kind of thing, an overreach, a scandal, just something. So anyway, I'm going to go back to my office and put together a little civics lesson for all the young people out there that don't know about the three branches of government and how the FBI fits into it. And we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm really curious about what can be done about the FBI. There's been a lot of talk about fixing it, and I don't know if it can be fixed or not. I think I'm going to need to look into the FBI a little bit more. I've been in Asia for 15 years and really haven't paid much attention to what they're doing. I only get what I see on the news, but maybe I need to look at it a little closer. I'm not sure anything can be done about those guys, so let's take a look and see what happens. We'll see if they can be fixed and how easy it'd be to do it. I'm going to go back to the office now and start that little civics lesson. I think we're ready to start our little civics lesson now. You know, there's so many people, especially the young people, that just haven't gotten the education and don't even know the structure of the U.S. government. It's pretty simple. There's three branches of government, and we're going to find out a little bit about all three of those. There's a legislative branch. The legislative branch has the most elected officials in our government. They have 540 elected. They also have a staff of about 44,000 people. It's pretty big. The responsibility of the legislative branch is to create laws and exercise oversight over some of the other branches of government. The second branch is the executive branch. The executive branch is headed by the President of the United States and the Vice President. The President's elected and the Vice President kind of comes with him. I'm not sure exactly why it works that way, but it does. You very seldom, I think only a couple of times in history, have seen a president of one party with a vice president of another party. They seem to always be the same party. So we have two elected officials there and about 4 million civil service and appointed employees. That's quite a lot. There's 438 departments, maybe, give or take a few. I'm not sure anybody knows for sure. And there's some independent agencies or departments within the executive branch, like the U.S. Postal Service, that has another 500,000 employees. So it's really hard to say how many people really are working for the executive branch of the government. But needless to say, it's over 4.5 million. And there's the judicial branch. That's the third branch of government, and it consists of 9 justices of the Supreme Court and their staff. Their staff's about 36,000 people. It's the smallest branch of government, but it wields a lot of power. It makes decisions on the constitutionality of various laws that are passed by Congress and signed into law by the President. Well, that's about all we need to know about the branches of government. Today we're going to focus on the executive branch because the executive branch is the one that actually controls the FBI. A lot of people think the FBI is independent. It can work on its own. And to some extent it can. But bottom line, no agency or department under the executive branch is independent. They're all controlled by the President or the President and his political party, which make up most of our cabinet members that head the various departments and agencies. The FBI has a director that's appointed by the President of the United States. So it would be very difficult for the FBI to not be political. The FBI works under the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is the department that prosecutes various crimes and also investigates. So the FBI works closely with them. Well, the Department of Justice, of course, being that it's a part of the executive branch and run by the president, and the Attorney General of the United States is appointed by the president, it's pretty political too. It's not independent, it's political. Look at our current Attorney General, Merrick Garland. He's about as political as you can get. The structure of the current Department of Justice really favors the liberal side of government, the Democratic Party, and the decisions they make are pretty much in favor of that political party to the detriment of the Republicans, the Conservative Party. But that's the way it goes. It's political. The whole operation is political because it's run by the president. You know, the FBI has a long history of scandals and overreach. Being that it's a 100-year-old operation, it's had time to gather up a lot of scandals in its history. There's been a bunch. They've assassinated leaders in South America, in Puerto Rico, for instance, and been involved in South American politics. They've been involved in politics in our own country. Of course, they also do their regular stuff, which is investigate crimes, do research, do investigations, do technical investigations, manage fingerprint databases, manage all kinds of databases. Of course, the database thing is a little bit dirty too. When J. Edgar Hoover was heading the FBI from about, I think, 1927 to 1972, he kept secret files on politicians, on various advocacy groups, homosexual groups, NAACP, the Ku Klux Klan, all kinds of things. He kept a lot of files secret on a lot of people. And he did this to preserve his own power and have leverage over those people. If that's not a dirty trick or a scandal, I don't know what is. It's definitely overreach. The FBI was never intended to be spying on organizations and politicians. There's also scandals like the Ruby Ridge shootout, the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas, that cost the lives of about 80 civilians. And all of these things were from the militarization of the FBI and its actions. Not a good thing. Well, the big question is, can you fix the FBI? How about by voting? If you vote for the political party that's in power, then you have helped the FBI, because the president and his party actually control the FBI and its policies. They may not run the day-to-day operations, but they certainly are influential in the decision-making of the FBI. And it's gotten more that way in the last 8 or 10 years. I think it kind of really started getting politicized and weaponized during the Obama administration and has continued to get worse ever since. They're also doing election interference and putting extraordinary pressure on conservatives in the government, basically to diminish their power in the government. And then there's the Patriot Act. After 9/11, the U.S. passed the Patriot Act, and it really gave the FBI a lot of power. It gave them the power and increased responsibility for spying on citizens inside our country. It allowed for warrantless searches. It allowed for wiretapping and things like that. These things were specifically denied to the government by the Constitution. But the Patriot Act just ignores the Constitution and goes forward with these activities. There's been a lot of problems caused by this, like the recent Hillary Clinton dossier, secret Russian dossier, and the fact that the FBI got FISA warrants, which are permissions from the court to do various searches, eavesdropping, wiretapping, things like that, without specific permission to do those and without probable cause. That certainly isn't a good thing. A lot of these things will probably get rolled back, but they haven't all been rolled back yet. We'll see what comes of that. Keep your eye on it. It's important to you. It's important to everyone. The main question is, does the government really need a powerful and intrusive federal police force? Well, I'm not sure that they do. The power to police isn't in the Constitution. The power to police was left to the states and the cities, localities, counties, like that. It's not a responsibility of the federal government. And when the FBI first started, they did investigate. They didn't enforce the law and prosecute street crimes or organized crime. Again, this actually came mostly during the Hoover administration. Old J. Edgar was a busy guy. He investigated the politicians and left the gangsters alone. Kind of a strange setup, but apparently it worked for him. Also, he really didn't like homosexuals at all, and he did a lot to persecute them with the powers of the FBI. The same with the blacks. He wiretapped and followed Martin Luther King. The FBI also put their informants inside organizations, basically spies inside. That's certainly not something you need in your government. And also, there's a few other departments that have their own police force. They don't need the FBI either. And who do we have? We've got the ATF, we've got the IRS, the DOJ, the Department of Energy, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Interior. Of course, the Border Patrol and Immigration, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, has a police force. All these police forces out there are in support of the various departments that they work for. So why do we need an FBI? Do we need central databases on our citizens and their activities, or our politicians and their activities? I don't think so. I think the FBI is definitely involved in a tremendous amount of overreach. Can or will the FBI be fixed? Well, personally, I don't think so. I think the executive branch is just too big and too cumbersome and is run by the political party that's in power. And the political party in power is not likely to change the FBI if it benefits them. You have to wait until the next political party comes into power and see what they do. And they're going to do the same thing. Nothing. That's it. So the FBI is going to have a few departmental changes. They'll fire some people like James Comey, appoint new people like Christopher Wray, but things basically never change. It's always the same. The FBI is too powerful to control. They can be influenced, but they really can't be controlled, and I don't think they can be eliminated or defunded. I think that's a pipe dream. You hear that a lot. Not going to happen. Apparently, we're not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle. It's just not going to happen. As much as we'd like to have a country where we're not spied on and our conversations and mail's not read by the government and things like that, we're going to have to live with it because that's the reality of today. The government is too powerful, overstepped the Constitution, not only by laws that were passed, but by policies that are enacted by the various agencies and departments. Those are basically laws that are made without your elected representative having anything to do with it. Never sees it. They just make things up, and that's the law. I'm sure we all want to live in a free country, but the FBI is certainly not part of it. I think that if we really want to keep any vestige of our federal-style government that gives the people a lot of freedom, that the FBI has got to go. I don't see it working. I definitely don't see it working for the people. We're guaranteed a lot of freedoms, but the FBI can take those away basically just with a word. I would really encourage everyone to do a lot of research on the FBI. Take a look at it. Take a look at the people. Read their resumes. Read up on the scandals that the FBI has been involved in. There's so many. I mean, we have a lot of new ones now. The dossier, the Russian dossier from Hillary, not prosecuting Hillary Clinton.
Although we don't normally make public our recommendations to the prosecutors, we frequently make recommendations and engage in productive conversations with prosecutors about what resolution may be appropriate given the evidence. In this case, given the importance of the matter, I think unusual transparency is in order. Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
She destroyed subpoenaed emails, but James Comey said, oh no, that's not anything a prosecutor would handle. They wouldn't prosecute her for that, but I think they would. That's a decision that was made that was pretty bad and pretty one-sided. I'm not really trying to accuse the right or the left, the liberals or the conservatives or the woke or whatever. I'm just saying that you need to do your own research into the FBI and see what you think about it. And then when you go to the polls, vote accordingly. It might help, but it might not. Personally, I think that nothing will change, but it could. There's always that possibility. This is JR, the TextPat, OTG, saying thanks for watching.